Look, I'm not saying my job was soul-crushing, but I once spent 4 hours cleaning crystallized alien coffee residue off a laboratory ceiling. How does coffee even get on a ceiling? These are the questions that haunt me at 3 in the morning. My name's Marcus Webb, and I'm a maintenance technician on the Galactic Archive Station, which is exactly as exciting as it sounds. We orbit a planet that's been dead for roughly 6 million years, cataloging artifacts that are supposed to revolutionize our understanding of the universe. Spoiler alert, most of them are just fancy paperweights. The station itself is pretty standard. Gray walls, humming air recyclers, and enough researchers to fill a small university, all of whom treat maintenance staff like we're invisible, which is fine. I prefer invisible. Invisible means nobody asks me to attend 4-hour meetings about proper artifact handling protocols. Commander Vrel ran the military side of operations. Picture a 7-foot-tall insectoid creature with mandibles that clicked when he was annoyed, which was always. He had exactly 2 emotions, stern disappointment and sterner disappointment. The guy treated every situation like a tactical operation, including lunch breaks. I once watched him plan his sandwich consumption with a 20-minute briefing. Then there was Dr. Kenna, the head archaeologist. She was a Talvaxian, which meant she had 4 arms and absolutely no concept of work-life balance. I'd seen her go 72 hours without sleep, surviving on pure academic obsession and whatever those protein cubes were that she kept in her desk. She spoke in footnotes and treated every conversation like a peer-reviewed journal submission. And Pip, poor, nervous Pip, junior researcher, looked like a blue ferret had a baby with an anxiety disorder. He jumped at his own shadow and apologized to furniture when he bumped into it. Nice kid, though. Always said good morning to me, which was more than most of the research staff managed. The day everything changed started like any other terrible day. I was replacing air filters in Lab 7 when Commander Vrel's voice crackled over the station-wide intercom. All personnel, report to Central Archive immediately. Priority Alpha clearance. I kept working on my filter. Priority Alpha didn't apply to maintenance. We had our own priority system, which mostly consisted of, is it on fire and can it wait until tomorrow? But then Dr. Kenna's voice joined in, and she sounded actually excited, which was concerning. Dr. Kenna got excited about carbon dating methodologies. For her to broadcast station-wide meant something legitimately weird was happening. The Zenith artifact has arrived, she announced like she was declaring the second coming of whatever deity archaeologists pray to. 10,000 years of mystery, and it's finally here. I finished my filter replacement and headed down to Central Archive anyway. Not because I cared about some old rock, but because when the entire station gathered in one place, they made a mess I'd have to clean up later. Might as well see what I was in for. The Central Archive was packed. Researchers pressed against the observation windows like kids at an aquarium. And there, on a hovering pedestal in the center of the containment field, was the Zenith artifact. It was a cube, perfectly black, about 2 feet on each side, completely featureless. I waited for something impressive to happen. Nothing did. That's it, I muttered. Pip, standing next to me because apparently we were the station's Outcasts Club, nodded enthusiastically. Oh yes, it's been studied by 47 civilizations over 10 millennia. Nobody's ever opened it. Nobody even knows what it's made of. Scanners just return error messages. It's theoretically impossible, which makes it actually possible, which makes it scientifically fascinating, which makes me want to throw up from nervousness. You okay, Pip? No, absolutely not. Dr. Kenna put me on the research team. Me. I once miscalibrated a sonic screwdriver. Commander Vrel began his briefing, which involved a lot of tactical terminology about security protocols that definitely didn't need to be that complicated. Dr. Kenna followed with an hour-long lecture about the artifact's history that could have been an email. The cube just sat there, being aggressively cube-shaped. I checked my schedule. I was assigned to clean Lab 3 where they'd be studying the thing. Perfect. Front row seats to watch smart people poke at a box for the next few weeks. This was going to be a long assignment. Watching geniuses fail is weirdly entertaining. You'd think it would get old, but 3 days in, I was genuinely invested in the drama. Dr. Kenna started with the basics. Every known language in the galactic database, which was apparently somewhere north of 40,000. She projected symbols onto the cube's surface, spoke ancient dialects that sounded like someone gargling gravel, and even tried musical sequences because one dead civilization apparently communicated through interpretive humming. The cube did nothing. Not even the courtesy of a little beep to acknowledge the effort. Perhaps, Dr. Kenna said, adjusting her glasses with two of her four hands while the other two typed furiously, the interface requires mathematical sequences. Prime numbers are universal. She inputted every prime number sequence known to galactic science. Fibonacci spirals, pi to 10,000 digits, something called the Corvin constant that required 3 holographic displays to visualize. The cube remained impressively unimpressed. I was mopping in the corner, watching this unfold. You try just asking it nicely? Dr. Kenna didn't even look up. Maintenance personnel should maintain silence during active research. Just saying works on my coffee maker. Commander Vrel arrived on day 4 with what he called military-grade decryption protocols, which as far as I could tell meant hitting it with progressively larger electromagnetic pulses until something broke. Fortunately, the only thing that broke was the pulse generator, which exploded with a very satisfying pop that sent researchers diving for cover. The cube didn't even get warm. Clearly, Commander Vrel announced, mandibles clicking rapidly. This requires tactical analysis. Webb, stop contaminating the research environment with your cleaning solutions. It's literally just water, Commander. Unacceptable. Use tactical water. I never did find out what made water tactical. Pip spent day 5 nervously suggesting increasingly wild theories. What if it requires emotional resonance or telepathic harmonics? Or maybe we need to arrange ourselves in a specific geometric pattern and hum the cosmic background radiation? Pip, Dr. Kenna said wearily. None of those are real scientific methodologies. Right, yes, of course, sorry. I'll just go calibrate the spectral analyzer. He scurried off, then immediately came back. Does anyone actually know what spectral analyzers do? By day 7, the Galactic Council sent their experts, 3 of them, each more pompous than the last. They arrived wearing ceremonial robes that seemed specifically designed to make walking difficult, and spoke in the kind of flowery language that took 5 minutes to say what could have been communicated with a simple hello. The first expert, a crystalline being named High Scholar Temin, spent 6 hours explaining his theory about quantum consciousness interfaces. Then he touched the cube exactly once. It did nothing, and he declared the artifact spiritually incomplete, and left. The second expert tried to bless it. That was her whole approach. Religious blessings from 40 different faiths, including one that required her to apologize to the cube for existing in its presence. The cube seemed fine with her existence. The third expert just stared at it for 9 hours straight, then announced he'd achieved deep synchronization with the artifact's essence. When pressed for details, he admitted the essence told him nothing useful, but it had been a profound journey of self-discovery. Did you pay for his travel? I asked Pip. The council covered expenses, yes. Someone got scammed. By day 10, Dr. Kenna looked like she'd aged 40 years. Her fur was matted, her forearms moved independently like they'd given up coordinating with each other, and she'd started talking to the cube like it was a stubborn student. Listen here, you geometrically perfect nuisance. I have dedicated my entire professional life to understanding ancient civilizations. I speak 47 languages, including 3 that are functionally extinct. I have degrees from institutions that most species haven't heard of. You will surrender your secrets, or so help me. I will write a very strongly worded paper about your uncooperative nature. The cube remained stoic. Commander Vrel wasn't handling failure much better. He'd moved from electromagnetic pulses to something he called aggressive persuasion protocols, which appeared to involve pointing increasingly large weapons at the artifact and demanding compliance. Surrender your tactical advantages immediately, he ordered the cube. This is your final warning. You're threatening a box, I pointed out while emptying a trash bin. It's a strategic negotiation tactic, Webb. You wouldn't understand. You're right. I'm just a guy who cleans toilets. What do I know about objects that don't respond to threats? On day 12, the Galactic Council sent a message. If the team couldn't open the artifact within 48 hours, they'd transfer it to the Zenith Research Institute on the other side of the galaxy. The team took this about as well as you'd expect. Dr. Kenna stopped sleeping entirely. Pip developed a stress-induced twitch. Commander Vrel stress-clicked his mandibles so frequently it sounded like someone was tap-dancing in the lab. And me? I just kept mopping, watching the smartest beings in the galaxy lose a fight with a cube. Honestly, it was the best entertainment I'd had in years. Day 14 started with what I can only describe as desperation-flavored chaos. Dr. Kenna had arranged every portable scanner on the station in a circle around the cube, creating what she called a comprehensive multispectral analysis matrix. It looked like a science fair project, designed by someone having a breakdown. Commander Vrel had positioned himself at a monitoring station, running simulations that I'm pretty sure were just him trying the same electromagnetic pulse sequence with slightly different timing, definition of insanity and all that. Pip was in the corner rocking slightly, muttering something about harmonic frequencies, and maybe we're not supposed to open it. Maybe that's the lesson. Maybe the real artifact was the friends we made along the way. I was beginning to worry about Pip. At around hour 6 of this particular experiment, alarms started blaring. Not because anything was working. The scanners were overheating. Turns out running 40 pieces of sensitive equipment simultaneously in an enclosed space generates enough heat to trigger fire suppression systems. Water rained down from the ceiling sprinklers. Not tactical water, just regular, disappointing maintenance water. The researchers scrambled to protect their equipment, shouting over each other about data loss and ruined experiments. In the chaos, I noticed the cube sitting there getting rained on, still doing absolutely nothing. "Everyone out," Commander Vrel ordered. "Evacuate until environmental systems restore normal conditions." The lab cleared in about 30 seconds. I was left standing there, mop in hand, because of course I was. Someone had to clean up after the sprinkler incident. That someone was always me. I started mopping, working my way around the cube's pedestal. The artifact sat there, water beating on its surface, looking exactly as mysterious and unhelpful as it had for the past 2 weeks. "You know," I said to the cube, "because talking to inanimate objects is what happens when you spend too much time alone. You're causing a lot of trouble for a fancy paperweight. These people are losing their minds trying to impress you and you can't even give them a pity beep? That's cold. Geometrically perfect, but cold." The cube, shockingly, didn't respond. I kept mopping, creating a nice, clean perimeter around the pedestal. Professional pride and all that. If the Galactic Council was taking this thing away in 2 days, at least it would leave a clean floor. That's when I made my mistake. My magnum opus of clumsiness, my masterpiece of incompetence. I stepped backward, pulling the mop in a smooth arc, and didn't see the bucket. My heel caught the rim. Basic physics took over. The bucket tipped, my legs went out from under me, and I performed an entirely unintentional gymnastics routine that ended with me flat on my back in a puddle of dirty water. My mop flew through the air with the grace of a dying bird and smacked directly into the cube's pedestal. The cube shifted about 2 inches to the left. I lay there, soaking wet, staring at the ceiling, and started laughing. Not because anything was funny, because that's what you do when you've hit peak ridiculousness. When trained scientists can't solve a mystery. But Marcus Webb, professional floor cleaner, manages to physically assault the most important artifact in the galaxy with a mop. The laughter came from somewhere deep in my chest. The kind of genuine, helpless laughter that happens when the universe decides to personally demonstrate your own absurdity. And that's when the cube started humming. Not loud, just a soft, resonant tone that seemed to vibrate through the floor. The perfect black surface began to glow with thin lines of blue light, tracing geometric patterns that definitely hadn't been there before. I stopped laughing, sat up, stared at the cube. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." The glow intensified, then faded. The humming stopped. The cube went back to being black and featureless. I scrambled to my feet, slipped on the wet floor, caught myself on the pedestal, and stared at the artifact like it had just personally insulted my mother. "Did you just... Was that you? Or did I hit my head?" Silence. I poked the cube experimentally. Nothing. I knocked on it. Nothing. I even tried recreating my fall, which just resulted in me getting wetter and no humming whatsoever. The lab doors hissed open. Dr. Kenna rushed in, followed by Commander Vrel and a very anxious-looking Pip. "Webb, what happened?" Dr. Kenna demanded. "Environmental sensors detected an energy spike in this lab. Did you damage the artifact?" "I might have made it hum." All three of them stared at me like I'd just claimed to have had a conversation with gravity. "You made it hum," Commander Vrel repeated slowly, mandibles frozen mid-click. "Yeah. I fell, hit it with my mop, and it hummed, and glowed." Briefly, Dr. Kenna's forearms began moving at once, pulling up holographic displays, checking sensor logs, and possibly trying to strangle the air from sheer frustration. The sensors show nothing. No energy signature, no EM activity, no quantum fluctuations, nothing. "It hummed," I insisted. "Blue lights, geometric patterns, the whole thing." Pip nervously approached the cube, pulled out a handheld scanner and waved it around. No residual energy, no temperature change, no molecular alterations. He looked at me apologetically. "Are you sure you didn't just imagine it?" "I'm wet, not concussed." Commander Vrel crossed his arms. "Describe exactly what you did, Webb. Precise movements. Exact sequence." So I explained. The mopping. The bucket. The spectacular fall. The laughing at my own incompetence. Dr. Kenna's eyes narrowed. "You laughed." "Yeah, because it was objectively hilarious. I just smacked a 10,000-year-old mystery artifact with a mop. That's comedy gold." "Show me," she demanded. "Recreate everything. Precisely." This was going to be a long night. For the next 6 hours, I became the galaxy's most reluctant experimental subject. Dr. Kenna had transformed Lab 3 into what she called a comprehensive recreation environment. What it actually was, a waterlogged floor, strategic bucket placement, and 36 sensors pointed at me like I was about to perform surgery instead of falling on my ass. "Begin recreation sequence, attempt 1, Dr. Kenna announced into her recorder. "Subject Webb will now duplicate all actions leading to the alleged activation event." "Can we not call it alleged? I know what I saw." "Science doesn't recognize I know what I saw, Webb. Science recognizes reproducible results. Now fall." I fell. Exactly as before. Hit the bucket, went down, mop flew, smacked the pedestal. Nothing happened. "Perhaps your falling angle was incorrect," Commander Vrel suggested, reviewing holographic recordings of the original incident. 3 degrees more rotation on your left foot. Attempt 2, 3 degrees more rotation. Still nothing. Pip nervously adjusted sensors. Maybe it's the water temperature or mineral content? I could run a spectral analysis of the mop water composition. "It's water, Pip. From the sprinklers. It's not magic." "We've tried everything except magic at this point," he muttered. Attempt 7 involved me falling in slow motion while Dr. Kenna measured electromagnetic field variations. Attempt 12 had me wearing biometric sensors that tracked everything from my heart rate to my internal body temperature. Commander Vrel suggested Attempt 18 should include tactical falling techniques, which apparently was a thing they taught in military academies. Nothing. The cube sat there judging us all. By Attempt 23 I was bruised, exhausted, and seriously reconsidering my career choices. This is insane. We're missing something obvious. What could we possibly be missing? Dr. Kenna snapped, all forearms gesturing in different frustrated directions. We've controlled for every variable. Impact force, water composition, ambient temperature, your exact body position, the mop's trajectory, planetary alignment. Did you just say planetary alignment? Desperation makes scientists try unconventional things, Webb. I sat down on the wet floor, not even caring anymore. I don't know what to tell you. I fell, I laughed, it hummed. That's all that happened. Wait, Pip said suddenly. You laughed. We all turned to look at him. You mentioned laughing in your initial report, he continued, gaining confidence. You fell, and then you laughed. What if the laughter was the trigger? Dr. Kenna pulled up her notes. Audio stimulation. We haven't tried systematic audio patterns. Webb, laugh at the cube. Just laugh? On command? Yes. Precisely as you did before. Have you ever tried to laugh on command? It's impossible. I stood there, staring at the cube, and produced the most pathetic ha-ha-ha sound ever created by human vocal cords. It sounded like a broken car horn attempting comedy. The cube remained unimpressed. More authentic, Commander Vrel ordered. That laugh was tactically insufficient. I'm sorry, are we rating laughs now? Is there a laugh quality standard I'm not aware of? Emotional authenticity is clearly required, Dr. Kenna said, typing rapidly. The original laugh was spontaneous, genuine. You need to recreate that emotional state. You want me to genuinely find falling on my ass funny again? That ship has sailed. I'm over it. I've moved on. We're no longer on speaking terms, me and that pratfall. Pip started giggling nervously, just little anxious hiccups of sound. The cube hummed. We all froze. The same blue light. The same geometric patterns. Pip's nervous giggling had triggered the exact same response my laughter had. Pip, keep laughing, Dr. Kenna shouted. I can't laugh under pressure, Pip squeaked, which somehow made him giggle more from anxiety. The cube's glow intensified. Then Pip forced himself to stop, trying to be professional, and the cube went dark again. We stood in silence, staring at the artifact with new understanding. It responds to human laughter, I said slowly. Specifically human. Dr. Kenna's forearms began moving in a blur of activity. This changes everything. The Zenith civilization was studying human biology? No, humans didn't exist 10,000 years ago. Parallel evolution of humor responses? Unlikely but possible. Or perhaps humor itself is the universal constant, and humans simply express it in a way that matches the artifact's parameters. Or, I suggested, maybe the ancient aliens just had a really good sense of humor. Commander Vrel clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. If laughter is the key, we need more human laughter. Sustained, authentic human laughter. Webb, commence laughing protocol immediately. That's not how laughter works, Commander. I can't just turn it on like a faucet. Unacceptable. I'm ordering you to find things humorous. Sir, with respect, you can't order someone to think something's funny. I can order many things, Webb. This is one of them. Laugh or face disciplinary action. I stared at him. You're threatening to court-martial me for not laughing hard enough at a cube? Is that funny to you? He asked seriously. Honestly? A little bit, yeah. Dr. Kenna pulled up her communications console. I'm contacting the Human Entertainment Database. We'll need comedy recordings, humor specialists, perhaps even a professional comedian. If laughter opens the artifact, we'll provide sufficient laughter to open it permanently. This is going to go badly, I predicted. Pip nodded, still twitching from his giggling episode. Oh yes, very badly. He had no idea how right he was. The next morning, Lab 3 had been converted into what I can only describe as a comedy club, designed by people who had never experienced comedy. Dr. Kenna had arranged seating in a semicircle facing the cube. She'd dimmed the lights for ambiance. She'd even programmed the environmental systems to play what her research indicated was typical human comedy venue background noise, which turned out to be a recording of someone eating chips extremely loudly. This is not how comedy works, I said for the 15th time. My research indicates proper atmospheric conditions enhance humor receptivity, Dr. Kenna insisted, consulting her notes. Lowered inhibitions, social environment, shared experience. We're recreating optimal conditions. Commander Vrel had positioned himself in what he called a tactical observation position, which meant he was standing in the corner with his arms crossed, trying to look like he understood fun. Pip had brought snacks, nervous energy snacks. He was stress-eating something that looked like purple popcorn and smelled like feet. I've hired a comedian, Dr. Kenna announced proudly, through the Galactic Entertainment Network. He's human, highly rated, specializes in what the database calls observational humor. His hologram will arrive momentarily. A holographic projector flickered to life, and suddenly we were joined by a middle-aged man in a sequined jacket, who immediately launched into his routine. So, I was flying through the Andromeda sector yesterday, right? And the flight attendant, she says to me, She says, "Sir, you need to keep your tentacles in your personal space." And I'm like, "Lady, I'm human. These are arms. Am I right, folks?" Silence. Anyone? Arms? Tentacles? No? Okay, tough crowd. Let me try this one. Why did the Xandarian cross the space lane? More silence. The comedian tried for 20 minutes. Every joke landed like a dead fish. Not because they weren't funny to humans, but because we were all too aware we were supposed to be laughing for science. The pressure killed any genuine humor. The cube never even flickered. The comedian's hologram finally gave up. "You people are the worst audience I've ever had, and I once performed for a convention of tax accountants. Good luck with your box." He disconnected. Clearly, remote comedy delivery is insufficient, Dr. Kenna concluded, making notes. "Webb, you will need to generate sustained authentic laughter." Still not how it works. "Then how does it work?" she demanded, all forearms spreading in exasperation. "Explain human humor to me in terms I can implement scientifically." I thought about it, really thought about it. Humor is surprise. It's pattern recognition gone wrong in a safe way. It's finding connections between things that shouldn't connect. You can't force it, and you definitely can't manufacture it in a lab while staring at the thing you need to laugh about. "So, we're trapped in a logical paradox," Commander Vrel observed. "We need authentic laughter to open the artifact, but knowing we need to laugh prevents authentic laughter. This is tactically problematic." "Why is laughter even the key?" Pip asked nervously. "What does humor have to do with ancient alien technology?" I looked at the cube. Really looked at it. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the Zenith civilization wasn't testing if we were smart enough to open it. They were testing if we were happy enough, if we valued joy over power. Dr. Kenna stopped typing. "That's highly speculative. Everything about this is highly speculative. You've been throwing science at this thing for 2 weeks. What if the answer isn't scientific?" "Everything is scientific, Webb. Even humor has neurological foundations." "Sure, but you can explain why a joke is funny and still ruin the joke. You're trying to weaponize laughter. That's missing the point of laughter entirely." Pip set down his stress snacks. "What if we just stopped trying? What if we just hung out and let things be naturally funny?" "Hanging out is not a research methodology," Dr. Kenna protested. "Maybe it should be," I said. "Look, I know you're all brilliant scientists and tacticians and whatever, but you're so focused on opening this thing that you've forgotten how to just exist around it. That first time it activated, I wasn't trying to make it work. I was just having a moment of pure, stupid human embarrassment." Commander Vrel's mandibles clicked slowly. "You're suggesting we abandon structured experimentation in favor of unstructured social interaction. I'm suggesting we order some decent food, tell some stories, and stop treating this like it's a problem to solve. Maybe the Zenith people built this thing specifically to filter out species who treat everything like a tactical problem." "That's offensive," Commander Vrel said. "Is it, though?" Dr. Kenna looked between us, her forearm slowly lowering. "This violates every research protocol I've ever learned." "Yeah, but your research protocols haven't been working. What have you got to lose?" She was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled up her comm. "Station Galley, this is Dr. Kenna. Deliver food to Lab 3. Variety selection. No, I don't care what kind. Just food that humans and compatible species can consume. Yes, I know this is irregular. Just do it." 40 minutes later, we were sitting on the lab floor, eating various space station approximations of comfort food. I had something that was allegedly pizza but tasted more like cardboard with tomato-flavored ambitions. Dr. Kenna was cautiously trying French fries, which she kept describing as aggressively salty starch tubes. "Tell me something, Webb," Commander Vrel said, attempting to eat a sandwich with military precision. "What made you choose maintenance as a career?" "Nobody chooses maintenance. You just end up there after enough bad decisions and student loans." "Student loans? Human thing. We pay people to educate us, then spend decades paying them back. It's a system that makes no sense, but we're all too invested in it to change." Dr. Kenna laughed. Actually laughed. "You pay for education? We consider education a fundamental resource." "Yeah, well, humans are great at taking fundamental resources and monetizing them. Healthcare, water, education. If it keeps you alive, we've found a way to charge you for it. Pip giggled nervously. That's horrifying. It really is, I agreed. And we just accept it. We'll complain about it, sure. We'll make memes about crushing student debt and medical bankruptcy. But we've somehow convinced ourselves this is normal. The cube hummed softly. We all glanced at it, then deliberately looked away. Kept talking. You have memes? Dr. Kenna asked. I've seen this term in human cultural databases but never understood the concept. Memes are humanity's greatest achievement and biggest embarrassment simultaneously, I explained. They're jokes that evolve, ideas that spread by being funny or relatable. Sometimes they're just pictures of cats with misspelled captions, and somehow that becomes part of our shared cultural language. Your species communicates through pictures of cats. Commander Vrel sounded genuinely baffled. Oh yeah, peak civilization right there. We've got quantum computers and interstellar travel, but we're still sharing cat videos. Actually, wait. I pulled up my personal comm and showed them my saved folder. Pip looked at a picture of a cat hanging from a tree branch with the caption, "Hang in there." I don't understand. Is the cat motivational? No, the cat is just existing. We made it motivational. That's the joke. We project meaning onto everything, even random cats. Especially random cats. Dr. Kenna stared at the image with all four eyes. This is absurd. Exactly. She laughed again, a genuine sound of bewildered amusement. The cube's hum grew stronger, and the blue light began tracing patterns across its surface. We kept talking, and this time we didn't stop to watch the cube. We let it do its thing while we shared stories about our respective species' ridiculous quirks. Commander Vrel told us about a military operation where someone had accidentally sent the entire fleet a message intended for his spouse, which included embarrassing personal details that became fleet legend. Pip shared a story about his first day at the archive station, where he'd gotten lost for 6 hours and was too nervous to ask for directions, ending up in a cargo bay having a panic attack next to boxes of toilet paper. Dr. Kenna admitted that her first major research paper had been about ancient alien plumbing systems, and she'd spent 5 years of her life becoming the galaxy's leading expert on 10,000-year-old toilets. We laughed, really laughed, the kind of laughter that builds on itself, where one person's giggling sets off everyone else, where you're not laughing at anything specific anymore but at the shared absurdity of existence. The cube fully opened, not dramatically, no explosion of light or mystical energy. It just sort of unfolded, segments sliding apart with quiet precision, revealing a hollow interior that glowed with soft, warm light. Inside was a message, suspended in holographic text that automatically translated to each of our languages. To those who find joy, I read aloud, we leave our greatest treasures. Not weapons, not power, but the record of our laughter, our art, our moments of happiness. Civilizations that seek only to dominate will find nothing here. Civilizations that remember how to laugh will find everything that matters. The universe is vast and often cold. Warmth is the rarest resource, guard it well. Below the message, data files began downloading to the station's computers. Music, art, literature, philosophy. The cultural heart of an entire civilization, preserved for 10,000 years, waiting for species evolved enough to value joy. Dr. Kenna wiped at her eyes with 2 of her 4 hands. They weren't testing our intelligence. Nope, I said. They were testing if we were still alive in the ways that actually matter. The cube continued to glow softly like it was content, like it had finally found what it was looking for. Commander Vrel's mandibles clicked in what I was beginning to recognize as his version of emotional processing. This is highly irregular. Yeah, I agreed. But it's good, right? It's tactically unnecessary and emotionally complicated. Therefore, yes, it's good. We sat there on the lab floor eating terrible space station food, surrounded by the laughter and art of a civilization that had understood something fundamental about existence. The universe was vast and cold, but we'd found a little warmth. That had to count for something. The Galactic Council's response to our report, was exactly what you'd expect from bureaucrats who'd spent 10,000 years failing to open a box that unlocked with a giggle. "This is highly irregular," the council representative said via hologram, somehow making the same statement Commander Vrel had made sound disappointed rather than accepting. "We expected weapons technology, strategic advantages, computational breakthroughs. Instead, you've recovered cultural artifacts. Art, music, philosophy. These have no tactical value." "No," Dr. Kenna agreed, surprising everyone. "They have something more important. They have joy." The representative blinked, which was impressive given they were mostly crystalline and technically lacked eyelids. "Joy is not a measurable resource." "Maybe that's the problem," I suggested from where I was leaning against the lab wall. "Maybe that's exactly why it took 10,000 years for someone to open this thing. You were all looking for weapons, and the Zenith people were offering wisdom." "Wisdom from a species that's extinct?" "Yeah, extinct, but they left behind something worth finding. They didn't leave behind ways to destroy each other. They left behind reasons to live. That seems pretty wise to me." The hologram flickered with what I interpreted as bureaucratic irritation. "Regardless, the council has decided that given the nature of the contents, the archive station may retain custody of the artifact. We expect comprehensive documentation." "Oh, I'll document everything," Dr. Kenna said with a smile that suggested she was going to enjoy writing this particular paper. "Every single detail about how we opened it, the importance of emotional authenticity, the failure of traditional methodologies, the significance of humor as a universal constant. It's going to be a very thorough report." The representative disconnected without saying goodbye. Definitely irritated, Commander Vrel approached me after the call ended. "Webb, the council has mandated that given your crucial role in the artifact's activation, you be promoted to Chief of Artifact Relations." I stared at him. "That's not a real job." "It is now. Effective immediately. Increased pay grade, access to restricted research areas, and a private office. I clean floors. That's what I do. That's what I'm good at. You opened a 10,000-year-old mystery by laughing at yourself. Clearly you're good at more than floors." Dr. Kenna nodded enthusiastically. "I'm adding humor analysis to all future archaeological protocols. Emotional context, cultural comedy structures, the role of joy in technological interfaces. This opens entirely new research avenues. Webb, I'll need your consultation on at least a dozen projects. I don't have a degree in archaeology or humor or anything useful." "You have something better," she said. "You have authenticity. You can't teach that in universities, apparently." "I've tried." Pip bounced over, less twitchy than usual. "Does this mean you'll be around more? Because honestly, you're the only person on this station who doesn't make me feel like I'm about to accidentally destroy something priceless." "Pip, you literally helped open the most significant archaeological find in galactic history." I giggled nervously. "That was an accident." "Yeah, but it was your accident. Own it." He smiled, actually smiled, with something approaching confidence. "Maybe I will." Over the next few weeks, word spread about what had happened. Other research stations started requesting consultations. Apparently, there were 17 other artifacts scattered across the galaxy that had resisted all attempts at activation. Now everyone wanted to try the laugh-at-it approach. Most of them failed, of course. Turns out you can't just force laughter at ancient alien technology and expect results. The Zenith artifact was specifically calibrated for genuine human humor, and trying to replicate that with other species or other artifacts was hit or miss. But 3 artifacts did respond to similar emotional triggers. One opened when a Colovian researcher experienced profound gratitude. Another activated during a moment of shared grief. The third responded to genuine curiosity, not the scientific kind, but the childlike wonder kind. The pattern was clear. The ancient civilizations weren't testing intelligence, they were testing emotional depth, the ability to feel, genuinely and deeply without calculation or agenda. Turned out that was rarer than anyone wanted to admit. I tried the whole Chief of Artifact Relations thing for about a month. Attended meetings, consulted on projects, wore clothes without mysterious stains. But it felt wrong, like wearing someone else's skin. So I went to Commander Vrel's office and submitted my resignation from the position I never asked for. You're declining a promotion? His mandibles clicked in confusion. This is tactically inadvisable for career advancement. Commander, I'm a maintenance guy. I like fixing things. I like knowing that when I go home at the end of the day, the station is cleaner than when I started. That's meaningful to me. The other stuff, the meetings and reports and consultations, that's just anxiety with a better paycheck. You prefer manual labor to intellectual work? I prefer honest work to pretending I'm something I'm not. Plus, somebody's got to clean Lab 3. You seen the state of that place? Dr. Kenna spilled coffee on 17 different surfaces yesterday. He studied me for a moment. You are a very strange human, Webb. Yeah, I get that a lot. Very well. Resignation accepted. But you will maintain consultant status. When we need someone to laugh at our failures, you'll be called. That I can do. I went back to maintenance, back to my mop and my bucket and my absolutely thrilling career in floor care. And honestly, I was happy. Dr. Kenna still called me down to the lab regularly. Not for consultations, but because she'd actually started to enjoy having conversations that didn't involve footnotes. She'd bring coffee. Terrible station coffee that tasted like it had been filtered through regret, and we'd talk about whatever. Life, the universe, why French fries were humanity's greatest culinary achievement. Commander Vrel never quite figured out humor, but he tried. His attempts were painful. He'd studied human comedy databases and occasionally attempted jokes that landed like tactical airstrikes in civilian zones. Webb, he said one day while I was replacing air filters near his office. Why did the human cross the space lane? I don't know, Commander. Why? To reach the designated destination coordinates more efficiently. That's not really a joke, sir. It was in the database under Comedy Structure Fundamentals. The database lied to you. But he kept trying, and honestly, his terrible attempts at humor were funnier than actual jokes. The effort counted for something. Pip flourished. Turned out that opening an ancient artifact, even accidentally, does wonders for your confidence. He published 3 papers on emotional resonance in archaeological contexts, became something of an expert on cultural joy analysis, and stopped apologizing to furniture. The Zenith artifact itself remained in Lab 3, still open, still glowing softly. It became something of a station-gathering place. People would come by, read the ancient civilization's writings, listen to their music, experience their art, and sometimes people would just sit near it and laugh, share jokes, tell stories, find moments of genuine happiness in the middle of their complicated, stressful lives. The cube seemed to approve. Its glow would intensify during particularly good laughter, like it was participating in the joy. 10,000 years dead, and the Zenith civilization was still bringing people together. I was in Lab 3 late one night, doing my usual cleaning routine when Dr. Kenna came in. She looked exhausted, all forearms hanging loose like they'd given up for the day. Long day? I asked. The longest. Grant proposals, council reports, peer reviews. Sometimes I miss when archaeology was about discovery instead of documentation. You discovered the key to the galaxy's most famous mystery. That's got to count for something. I didn't discover it, Webb, you did. By falling on your ass and laughing about it. Yeah, but you created the environment where that could happen. You could have kept running tests forever. You chose to try something different. She sat down near the cube and I joined her. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment, just existing in the presence of ancient joy. Do you ever think about them? She asked. The Zenith people? What they were like? Sometimes. I think they were probably a lot like us, trying to figure out how to exist in a universe that's too big and too complicated. Making art, telling jokes, finding ways to be happy despite everything. They failed, though. They're extinct. Maybe. Or maybe they succeeded perfectly. They didn't leave behind weapons or empires. They left behind laughter. That's surviving in a way that empires never do. The cube pulsed gently like it agreed. Dr. Kenna smiled. You know what the weirdest part of all this is? I've spent my entire career trying to understand ancient civilizations, and it took a maintenance technician to teach me that maybe understanding isn't the point. Maybe appreciating is enough. Hey, someone's got to keep things simple. That's what maintenance is all about. You don't fix something by making it more complicated. She stood up, stretched all 4 arms. Thanks, Webb. For what? For teaching a bunch of overeducated scientists how to laugh at ourselves. That's rarer than any artifact. After she left, I finished my cleaning and stood in front of the cube. It glowed steadily, patient and ancient and somehow content. You picked a good species to open you, I told it. Humans are ridiculous. We'll monetize everything, fight wars over nothing, and eat ourselves into medical problems we have to pay other people to fix. But we laugh. Even when everything's terrible, especially when everything's terrible, we find ways to laugh. That's got to be worth something. The cube pulsed brighter. Yeah, I said. I thought you'd agree. I picked up my mop and bucket, turned off the lab lights, and headed home. Tomorrow I'd be back, cleaning floors and fixing air filters and existing in the simple, honest space of maintenance work. But tonight, I'd helped guard something important. Warmth in a cold universe, joy in the face of entropy, laughter that had survived 10,000 years and would probably survive 10,000 more. Not bad for a guy who just wanted to mop floors. Not bad at all.